Is you up to not guilty?
Correct.
Okay, and with regard to defendant Billy Perez?
Same vote.
And with that, the judge declared the murder trial against two former Albuquerque police officers a mistrial. Dominic Perez and Keith Sandy were facing second-degree murder charges for the killing of homeless camper James Boyd 2.5 years ago in the Albuquerque foothills. After 13 days of testimony and 2 full days of deliberations, the jury decided they could not reach an agreement. 3 jurors said that Perez and Sandy were guilty of second-degree murder, while 9 said not guilty for both. We spoke to the elected jury four-person today.
We took roles in trying to examine all the evidence that was offered. We looked at it every way possible. There were some sway today during deliberation, some consideration because of the short amount of time the officers had to make that decision, and so it weighed pretty heavily on our decisions. I think personally that they should retry the case, not necessarily for the fact of finding them guilty, but it's just the fact that there is so much that we as a jury were considering during our deliberation.
While the defense wanted a not guilty verdict, this was the next best thing for them. They say the heavy majority of jurors who wanted to acquit sends a strong message to anyone thinking about trying this case again. News 13's Haley Rush begins our team coverage.
Dean, the defense isn't quite calling this a win, but they do hope it means Keith Sandy and Dominic Perez can finally move on with their lives.
With a pat on the back and a smile, defense attorney Sam Bregman gives a hint to Keith Sandy that he knows what's coming.
Will further deliberations be fruitful?
No, Your Honor.
While Bregman says they really wanted a not guilty verdict, he says the jury's numbers show they were mostly in favor of acquitting Sandy and Dominic Perez.
But 9-3, I think, sends a pretty positive message about how we believe all along this case is pretty weak.
From the start, both Sandy and Perez have said they were protecting an APD canine handler who got too close to James Boyd and his pocket knives.
But don't go after the police officers for following their training.
Bregman also said the jury's numbers prove anyone considering retrying the case should think twice before spending tax dollars again.
And I think it sends a very powerful message to the government about the strength of their case. And I hope they think about that before their decision on whether or not to try this again.
Perez's attorney said he would not be commenting on the case tonight, but in closing arguments last week, he called Dominic Perez an innocent man.
This was truly defense of another. This was truly a justifiable homicide by a law enforcement officer.
And today, Bregman said 99% of APD officers are good, including Sandy and Perez.
That every day we ought to wake up and we ought to thank them for the job they do for our community.
In court today, Bregman whispered to Keith Sandy after the judge declared a mistrial. He says he told him, "I love you, buddy." Dean, back to you.
Okay, Haley, thank you. The special prosecutor who took the case says she's not surprised by the jury's decision. News 13's Lizzie Mitri continues our team coverage from the Newsplex.
Dean, the special prosecutor says the split decision just goes to show how polarizing an issue this has been for the community.
This city now has what it has always said that it wanted, which is the true story of what happened up on the mountain.
This story, Special Prosecutor Randy McGinn told the jury that this video showed James Boyd turning away to surrender as officers Sandy and Perez each fired 3 shots, killing him.
This was a very difficult case from the get-go. Very, very hard. I mean, there haven't been convictions anywhere across the country for these kind of cases.
In the future, McGinn says police should not be investigating their own officers in a situation like this. She raised issues in trial, like police returning Perez's rifle to him, and she had to bring in her own expert to do a ballistics analyst because APD didn't do one. You'll recall the comments from APD's chief just 5 days after the shooting, which set off protests.
Do you believe this was a justified shooting?
Do I believe it was a justified shooting? Yes.
That turned out to be a question this jury could not agree on, causing a mistrial. Will they try the officers again?
That's going to be somebody else's decision.
District Attorney Carrie Brandenburg initially charged the officers, but there was concern over a conflict of interest. An APD investigation accused her of bribing victims in her son's burglary cases. She appointed McGinn as special prosecutor for this case. During the trial and again today, McGinn said she felt sorry for Perez, who, unlike Sandy, was sent up to face Boyd just 3 minutes before the shooting.
What I said to him was I was sorry that he was the one that got sent up there. I think he did not create this situation that happened up there and got sent up and walked into it.
McGinn says she put in hundreds and hundreds of hours on this case for just $5,400. That doesn't include additional costs for experts, for example. Back to you.
Okay, Lizette, thank you. With Brandenburg's term coming to an end this year, the decision to retry this case will fall now to Raul Torres, who is running unopposed for DA. In a statement, he says that is a decision that he will take his time with. Albuquerque's police union has been outspoken about this case all along, saying the charges were politically motivated and that they set a terrible precedent.
Nobody goes to work and says, I want to get into an officer-involved shooting today. I want to be charged with murder for simply doing my job. That's not what police officers do, but the added scrutiny in the country, in the city of Albuquerque, it's a hard profession.
The union has also claimed the DA charged these officers because she was getting heat for never prosecuting a police shooting, as the DOJ was breathing down APD's neck for a pattern of excessive force. Sandy retired before he was charged. Perez was fired after those charges were made. And we tried to ask Perez's attorney if he will be fighting to get his job back, but we did not get a response. We also tried to ask APD and the mayor's office if Perez could get his job back, but again, did not get an answer. In the trial, you heard both sides bringing up APD's handling of the standoff leading up to that shooting. The defense pointed to the lack of communicated plan and the canine handler moving in too close to Boyd. That was also the subject of the lawsuit against the city, how APD unnecessarily escalated this standoff, moving in on Boyd when they did not have to, instead of waiting it out. The city paid the Boyd family $5 million, saying it was time to move forward from that tragedy while not admitting any guilt. There was a heavy police presence around the courthouse today. They were worried a mistrial or a not guilty verdict could trigger more protests against APD. We spotted about 30 state police officers in riot gear. APD thought it best to let another agency handle security. In the end, only about 10 protesters showed up. Well, this was a big case that the public watched closely from day one, and some had a reaction to today's decision.
We have a dead person here in this city, and now we have 2 cops who've walked again from justice.
Mayor Richard Berry and APD would not do on-camera interviews tonight. They did send us statements, which we have posted online as part of our continuing coverage.